你好. After about 2 hours after I finished building this computer right here, I regretted it. Originally, I had my computer in a Lian 011 Mini. At the time, I thought that was the most compact ATX case out there. But after a couple months, it was too big and it was too chunky for my IKEA thing going on here. So I thought, well, I guess let's move to a MATX form factor and let's find the most compact MATX case. I found this one. I was excited. I was really excited. So, in a way, that was accomplished. It is definitely compact, but it is now a little bit handicapped. The front audio cable would not connect. There is just not enough space unless I start removing fans, and I don't want to remove fans because I want fans that look good and they provide air. Then also the fans are so pressed against the PWM connectors as well as the F panel connectors that I think eventually something is gonna break. So yeah, and then there was the issue with the quality of the case. The standoffs do not align perfectly with the motherboard. So now the graphics card also does not align with the bracket, with the screw holes at the back. It's just being held in place there. It's not screwed in. And honestly, I don't think the case looks that good. It's weird. I was really excited. I had really high hopes, and the case looked great without any parts in it. But after I finished building, the two-tone, the glass and the aluminum, it's just for some reason doesn't look as good. It's like when people go to buy clothes and they see the clothes, oh wow, that looks really good. Then they put it on and it doesn't look good anymore. It's like once you put a human inside the clothes, that clothes just looks worse. Something like that. So I decided to do another build, and this time using ATX motherboard, and I think I found a relatively compact ATX case. Sorry Amazon for all the returns. I messed up. That was my bad. Please do not ban my account. All hail Jeff Bezos. So yeah, we're doing a new build. Okay, let's begin with the case. It is the GameMax Spark Pro in white. There's a non-pro version that is smaller for MATX form factors or smaller. So this is the one for ATX motherboards. This is my first white build, so we'll see how it goes. The top panel is easily removable, just 2 thumb screws, and the filter is not removable, it's glued to the top panel, so cleaning might be a little bit more difficult. The back panel is also glass, a white glass panel, so airflow is probably not going to be good. She's a choker, I'm pretty sure. The bottom, you have another filter. It is not magnetic, so it's a little bit harder to remove. It's held in place with those metallic tabs. But with a little effort, you can just slide it out. It took me a while. I'm not very competent. There we go. There's also this side panel for mounting two SSDs. It's held in place by 3 screws that you can just remove and get the panel out of the way for the installation. Here's the look inside of the case. So you can fit 3 120s at the bottom or 2 120s plus SSD and hard drive. The top, you can do 2 120s or 2 140s, and then the remainder of the space is occupied by the PSU, and then you can also do another 120 on the rear. Here's the back side. I think cable management space is going to be decent. There's also another spot to install another 2.5 SSD. Okay, this could be a major deal breaker for some people. Now, the case, the front panel has one USB-C and one USB-A connector. But when you look at the cables, both cables, they merge into a single regular USB 3.0 connector that goes into the motherboard. So you're not gonna get the speed of USB-C. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're considering this case, particularly if you really need USB-C speeds on the front panel. For motherboard, I ended up going with a MSI MPG Edge Wi-Fi. It is a two-tone white silverish color that I'm hoping it matches well inside the case. I'm going to fast forward this part. It's just the installation of the SSDs. I put the one with the OS on the top, closer to the CPU, and my second drive with the games and files on the remaining slots. Now it's time for the CPU and the cooler. I started removing the AM5 brackets. And CPU goes in. Make sure to match the triangle on the top left corner. And boom. For the cooler, I'll be using the DeepCool AK620 in white. This is definitely an upgrade from the previous cooler. It is also, I think, beautiful, particularly the heatsink. Look at that. I don't think I will be using both fans. I will just keep the fan in the middle because I want the look. I want that look in my case. I mean, let's just take a moment. Let's just appreciate that heatsink. Just be quiet and just enjoy. Oh yeah, that's a look. I'll speed through the installation of the brackets. Nothing special. It came with brackets for both Intel and AMD, and it was a painless process, just like my previous cooler. So I decided to go with the new this is a thermal sheet basically. I've been told that the performance is better than the paste, not quite good compared to liquid metal. But the selling point for me is that it doesn't dry out. It will just last longer than paste. So you don't have to repaste it after, let's say, 2 or 3 years. As you can see, I spent a good amount of time trying to align it perfectly. And then I realized that as soon as I put the cooler on it, it just slides out of place. So the best way to do this is to actually use a little bit of paste just to hold it in place and then install the cooler. So I use 3 tiny dots in each 3 corners, and that did the trick. By the way, this was not cheap. It's almost $30, and it comes in different sizes depending on the CPU. So just choose the CPU that you have, and it will tell you what size you can buy. But if you buy one size that is too large, it is okay to cut it down to size. And with the cooler installed, let's move on to the ramps. I'm still using the GSkills from my previous build, but I am actually upgrading them to Kingston 64 GB. Power supply went easy, no issues there. We are almost at the end. Time for the motherboard, and it went in, no issues either. Every standoff aligned with every hole on the motherboard, unlike my previous case. So far, I'm pretty happy with the overall quality of the case, considering that it costs only $70. Front audio is now connected. Good to have that back because I do use it a lot. Front panel is connected as well. I don't connect the hard drive LEDs because the blinking does bother me, so I always leave that out. Here's how it looks from the back. I don't have a lot of cables to manage. I did use an extension for the CPU cable because it wasn't long enough. And I also use an extension for the motherboard cable, mainly for the looks. Now I know the airflow on this case is probably not going to be good, so instead of using the glass panel, I decided to buy some filters, dust filters off of Amazon. And I got these ones in white. It came with the magnetic strips. So I cut them to size, and this is now how it looks. It doesn't matter to me because this side is going to be facing the wall anyway. But my hope is that instead of having a glass panel, this would allow for a little bit more airflow. This is how it looks complete with the GPU installed. I changed the RAM for the Furies as well. The front fan of the cooler is removed, and I ended up using it as a rear exhaust fans. So at the bottom I have 3 120s, and at the top I went with 2 140s. And that bar the vertical bar that you see that is magnetically attached to a PSU, that's just an LED bar that I added because I didn't know what to do with that part. I kind of want to hide the cables, but I didn't want to install that side panel back on. Here it is, turn on with all the lights. Here's with the side panel on, and I think it definitely looks better without the side panel. I want to do some close-ups of the cooler. I think the light reflecting on those squares, it looks just very nice. This is how I ended up setting up the RGB. Motherboard, memory RAM are just steady, GPU is blinking, and that vertical bar is just a teardrop. I might change in the future. Okay, let's end the video with a peel. Was that a good peel? Is it good enough? It's good content? Okay. Alright, so that's it for the video. I hope it was helpful. And I hope you enjoyed it. And that's it for me. I'll see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe if you want to. Just if you want to. Okay. 再见。